Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Super Tea Podcast Show. I have to get my charger. Give me 1 second. This is an impromptu video. Um, just, I'll explain once I get my charger. Be right back. So today is um, March, March, April 24th. I'm at the end of my semester, and I'll definitely have more time to do more streams and to do more content creating. I've been basically doing shorts, and this particular device that I'm currently recording on, I'm not quite sure how much memory I have, but I'm just gonna trust the process because that is what I have decided to do today. So I've been up since 3. I had to just prepare myself. It takes me a while to get dressed to perform, and I knew that I was going to be performing in front of a large audience. I also kind of knew that I was going to, unfortunately, ruffle a few feathers. As unfortunately, I don't do it intentionally, but it happens, and I have to follow what's in my spirit, what's in my soul. I have to be authentic to me. I cannot say these things that I'm going to allow divinity to work through me. And then when divinity is working through me, I'm like, oh no, I got to get somebody else's approval. No, 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 no. I'm not operating like that at all. So, on the Super T podcast show, I had a series called Soulful Sunday, where I'm reading from a book called Seed of the Soul, and classes and family life and just balancing those things. I didn't have the energy to continue with Soulful Saturdays. So Soulful Saturdays has been paused until this semester is done, which is done in 6 days. So it was a beautiful ceremony. I think I actually have a copy of it right here. I do. Look at that. You probably cannot see. It's probably the opposite way. And a bookmark though. And a whole bookmark. Anyway, they did a really good. They did a really good job renovating. I don't know what it looked like before because they were renovating when I started here at ECC, which is my school. Great learning institution for sure. And what makes it even more special to me is definitely the color scheme, because their logo is yellow and green, which is the same colors of Matcha Madness Cafe. So, it was just a really nice alignment. And I'm glad that I followed the direction of Spirit to come and enroll, and just wonderful, amazing things are happening. So when I first got here back in the fall of last year, 2024, I discovered an amazing department that they have here, and I discovered a book, and I started reading the book, and then once again life started lifing, and I couldn't, at that point in time, the books were not allowed to leave that particular space. So I was like, oh, when am I gonna have time to read this book? I really want to read this book. And I was just like, okay, but I need to pass my classes. So let me pass these classes. Let me fill my own space out in this new environment that I'm in. And just ironically, I am back in that space, and not just back in that space. not just back in that space, with the opportunity to learn and to study, but also to work and also to be connected to a lot of different positive community events that's happening. So it's a really good thing that's happening. So I noticed that book that I started reading last semester was like now available, and I had to, because I'm a bookworm. I know I'm a cute bookworm, but I'm still a bookworm, and I really just wanted to dive deeper into it, and so I am. So this is not technically Soulful Saturday. This is just me reading this book. This book is available online, and it is called, you probably can't see it, but it's called The Hidden Debate, and it is written by Dr. Akil Kokayi Khalfani, which is a professor here at ECC. So I'm still in the beginning. I kind of remembered where I left off at. I left off at the comparison. So this is the truth revealed about the battle over affirmative action in South Africa and the United States. I have never went deep into affirmative action because it's something that happened before my time. Because I'm a 90s girl. But it's something that, it's a terminology that I am familiar with. So now I have the opportunity to go deep into it because there is policy and law that is used in this book as references. So it allows me to dive deeper into it and also become aware of possible similarities that's happening in the Republic of South Africa. Now, technically, what I do know, and I'm going deeper into politics for sure, but what I do know is that the United States of America, which is my home nation, is supposed to be a republic. It's supposed to be governed as a republic. But I don't feel like they exactly do that. So I don't know if I'm going to approach this this broadcast the same way I do Soulful Saturdays, especially since it's impromptu. What I do feel I'm going to do is talk about things that's kind of like aha to me. So I started with the questions. So just to give you a brief overview, the book is broken up into sections. The first 3 sections: introduction, purpose, background. Okay, so I'm at the purpose right now. And the purpose is basically seeing that there's differences between the social policies between the Republic of South Africa and the United States of America. Also, there's 2 questions. And I had to go back. Like, I read a little fast, but I have to sometimes go back. And I had made it to the bottom of this page. I'm only on page 4, by the way. I didn't make it far the first time, but now I have the opportunity to go further. And not only go further, encourage my audience on the Super T podcast show to actually dive into it themselves. I don't know if it's on audio. It might be. It's a good recommendation to put it on audio because it allows people, to I say who knows because I don't know whether it's on audio, and if it's not, it can be on audio. And because I have such an articulate, amazing voice, perhaps I'll have the opportunity to actually record it on audio. Who knows? That's why I said who knows like that. But anyway, back to the topic, the book itself. I had to go back up to the questions. So these are the questions. The first question is, does the debate over affirmative action represent a greater social disjuncture involving conflicting notions of liberty, equality, and justice, primarily between African origin and European origin populations? So the word there that I was not initially familiar with was disjuncture. I was like, what's that? you know. So I use context clues, which was one of my favorite things to do. And I was like, oh, you know, basically a conflict, right? Disjuncture means something that is sounds like broken. I didn't look up the official definition, but that's what I got from it. And my interpretation of that question in of itself is basically, do black people and white people have different ideas of what liberty, justice, and equality is? And yes, I mean, before I even go deep into this, that's quite obvious, because in a European, aka white person's mind and their mental programming, they don't feel, some of them, not all of them, I'm not speaking generally for all of them, but some of them don't feel that brown people should have the same type of rights that they have. They feel like they are superior. That's been a program that has been put into them from their forefathers. Now, a lot of them have broken out of that program, but it is the year 2025, and we know what's happening right now in the government, you know, and I don't know how deep this goes into American history and American law, but that is one topic that I have went a bit into, you know, not too far into, but I have went into. So from my knowledge, from my research, this country was not put together predominantly by Europeans. There were people that look like me that actually assisted some of these Europeans in putting together this country itself. They don't talk about it too much. You have certain people who are aware of that, and again, it's a tricky topic, because what I discovered when I became aware of the fact, which it was like something in me kind of knew already, but when I had like the actual evidence where I could see like the United States of America writing to the Sultan of an empire, and even though this empire is no longer in existence, yeah, there's documents, there's legal documents of them writing to this empire and that Sultan saying, okay, we're going to grant you permission to do this, da 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 da. And it's interesting. It was interesting. But the people that I was interacting with at that time, who has awareness of this truth about the origins of the United States of America, they were very emotional, which is a natural reaction when you find out, oh, you've been lied to, your history books have lied to you, they left out very important documents. Of course, it's natural to get angry, but do you stay there? Because if you stay there in that emotion of anger, then how can you come up with a solution that's going to actually work? You can't really come up with a solution when you are emotional and you're angry. You gotta process that. You have to take a step back maybe sometimes, analyze it from all different angles, and then have discussions and then take action, you know? So I separated myself from a lot of those individuals, and not intentionally and also unintentionally. I had to deal with my own challenges in regards to my family, and family comes first for me. So I dealt with those things, and now things are settled. I still have some micromanaging with my family to do, but for the most part, things are settled. And because they are settled, I have opportunity to do more leisure stuff and more things that interest me, and to take my studies and my research even further and even deeper. And I think this is a good starting point, because it's going to give me the foundation and reference, and then also go into the ideology of the author and their perspective of the things that they observed, you know, and the things that they've researched and the things that they have studied. So 2 is, does the underlying affirmative action debate have parallel themes in the United States and South Africa? Now, I only became aware of the Republic of South Africa last semester when I first picked up this book. I didn't even know that it existed. I have no idea how the government structure is in Africa. Again, I never even heard of this until I picked up this book. So it's interesting to me because I'm like, And there's a lot of things happening. A lot of people are going for dual citizenship right now because of what's happening here in the United States of America. A lot of people are moving. There's a lot of development happening, predominantly in Ghana. And I don't know if, I want to say RSA, which is the Republic of South Africa, is not where Ghana is. But again, I don't know a lot of information. I know several countries by name, but I don't know what the political structure is over there. I don't know how they operate. I don't know how they are governed. These are all things that I'm new to learning about. But luckily, I have this book that's going to allow me to have a comparison to the two. So again, the introduction is basically explaining how the first question aids in uncovering the underlying social conflict on which the affirmative action debate is based. We'll see that the affirmative action debate surfaces from within its deeper social conflict. So it's a deeper level. There's a surface level to affirmative action that says, oh, everybody's equal, everybody has the right for this, everybody has the right for that. But then there's deeper conflicts within the surface level. So I'm not going to obviously read the entire book on this broadcast, but I'm going to be doing videos as I go through the book to share my opinion and my perception based on what I am now learning. And I'm encouraging you, if you are interested in finding solutions, go deeper than the surface, because a lot of times the solutions are deeper than the surface. And make sure also that you are self-regulating you. It's natural that if you feel, this history was taken out of the history books, we didn't know this, we thought these white people came over here and just made up all of these wonderful, no, they didn't. They really didn't. Those who came over here, from what I know, was cast out. They were thrown out. They were thrown out of England. They were tossed away. So they didn't come over here and just have all of these brilliant ideas. They actually was looking for solutions. And yes, some of them were barbaric and cannibals and, warmongers. But there was also wars already happening before they got over here. There was wars between different indigenous tribes. The whole empire that was standing here was falling apart because of the separation and the war amongst the indigenous people. And who knows what other conflicts were happening here on this land when they got here. They basically capitalized off of what was already fucked up. And that is the real truth of the matter. So to make things better, we can't just be pointing fingers oh, well, you did this for 400 years. What was happening before they got over here? Why were the borders open? Why were not the borders guarded? And don't say it's because it was just peaceful tribes over here, because we know that indigenous tribes were not all peaceful. There were some peaceful ones, but they all were not peaceful. And we know the empire, for it to fall, it had to be some jacked up stuff happening within it. So with those true facts, when we come to solutions, we got to get all of the information. You can't just come from the surface point oh, well, these Europeans did this to these people. It goes a little deeper. And that's why I appreciate the fact that this author went deeper into affirmative action. So I encourage you to go deeper, to find solutions to conflicts, self-regulate. And I gotta throw in my ebook, which is on manifestation. And not to throw it in how it has become a trend, because I was doing my own spirituality before it became popular. I was teased about my crystals. I was wearing them at all different places. I was wearing them on my head, my crown chakra. I was just being led. And before I stopped this broadcast, what's very interesting to me is that a lot of places, New York is very historic, and a lot of places that I just seemed like I stumbled across because I was just traveling from point A to point B, but when I passed through those spaces, something kept me there and something felt familiar there, and I couldn't understand what it was, but I put out whatever good vibrations I could put out. I used the opportunity to speak positive words, and I literally just felt the connection. Had no clue the grave sites, because it wasn't really grave sites. There were actually two churches that is in Lower Manhattan. One is right near where the former Twin Towers is, and one is right off of Wall Street, at the beginning of Wall Street. And they both have tombstones in there. And it's open to the public to walk through. You can go inside the church and everything. And I was just wondering, why do I feel such a connection to these spaces and places? I literally found out yesterday. Yesterday at work, I found out that both of those churches have the tombs of former slaves, of indigenous people, because a lot of indigenous people unfortunately became prisoners of war, thus became slaves. So yes, they say some came on a boat, and whether that's accurate or not, I'm not going to debate that. But what I can say is that indigenous people, people that were here already, also got enslaved because they became prisoners of war. So slavery goes beyond just people being brought from another continent. You know, it goes deeper. So I just discovered that yesterday. Like, that's what those places are. I just felt it. So I trusted it. I trusted the feeling. I put out the prayers. But now I'm going to intentionally go back to these places and just follow whatever comes through me to do. With that being said, I encourage you to click the link in the bio, get you a copy of my manifestation journal. My life and everything is wonderful right now, and I appreciate the opportunity that I can sit in this state-of-the-art facility. I can relax, I can read, I can do content creating according to the boss. I can also have meetings. You know, it's just a space that I can utilize at its capacity, and I'm appreciative of that. I'm appreciative of this institution. They're heading in the right direction. A lot of good things are happening, and I encourage you to keep pushing forward. I thank you for tuning in to the Super T podcast show, and we'll be going deeper and deeper into the hidden debate. And I got a bookmark, even though I remember where I left off at. I got the memory of an elephant. But anyway, I'm going to put the link in the bio for the manifestation ebook and also the manifestation journal. And when you go to the link, it's my stand store, you're going to see some other amazing things in there as well. So don't just look at the first two links. Once you get to my stand store, scroll down and click on them all. And thank you for subscribing and tuning in to the Super T podcast show. Till we meet again. I don't know what I'm calling this series yet. When the name comes to me, it'll come to me. But it's not going to be Soulful Saturday, obviously, because it's Thursday. And I might be talking about soulful topics, but that's not going to be the title of this series. Thank you. And I'm also going to put the information in links so that you can purchase this book for yourself and dive deeper into this book. Thank you for tuning in.